Let's get underway with our first session. AI in AV, envisioning the future of innovation and industry transformation is the subject of today's session. As artificial intelligence continues to advance, it is set to become a pivotal force within the pro AV industry, reshaping the ways in which AV solutions are designed, developed, and implemented. But what does the future hold for an AV-enabled AV technology world? And how will this shape the industry's ongoing development and transformation? Well, to discuss this further and to introduce a somewhat powerful panel here this morning, would you please welcome from AECOM, Richard Morrison.
Good morning, and thank you, Tim. We've got a really exciting panel this morning, and so I just wanted to introduce our panelists today. To my left, I have Dan Feldstein. He's Crestron's global CEO in from North America. Merrin Corrigan, Microsoft's global AI powered workplace program lead. And we have in from London, Sarah Joyce, the chief global officer from Avixa. So welcome to our esteemed panelists. In terms of, we'll kick things off in terms of, I really want to get a perspective from Dan. Crestron's been at the forefront of AV innovation for a very long period of time. And so how do you envisage AI redefining the boundaries between AV and IT?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we move forward, as we look to innovate, again, our core goal is to provide exceptional experiences to our customers. And how we deliver that is where innovation comes in. And that innovation going forward will surely include many elements of AI. In terms of bringing AV and IT together, I think it's really critical because we see now post-pandemic, especially, the adoption of AV in the workplace has grown exponentially. The need for video conferencing solutions in every space is a reality. And that's a scale and scope that AV never had to deal with before. But it is a scope and scale that IT is excellent at. And that's where I think that convergence of AV and IT can really deliver that ideal experience of AV everywhere. And where we see AI really coming into play there, things like our intelligent video solutions using visual AI to create a much better hybrid meeting experience that's much more inclusive of those in the room and those out of the room. And not just on the user side, but also on the deployment side, so that we can, again, make it easier to deploy these solutions at scale, make it easier to maintain and monitor them. And then where it really comes into IT and business analytics is now taking that data and using AI tools to give that analytics to help drive business decisions to move forward.
Yeah, wonderful. And if we use the term intelligent AV, what does that mean as a manufacturer to you? I mean, can we create systems that think, learn, and adapt?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're doing that now, and we're working on a lot of things coming down the pipeline. Intelligent AV is an AV system that doesn't just do what you installed it to do. It's a system that reacts to you, learns from how you're using the space, and can adapt and be better. The ideal for us, it's weird to say it as a technology manufacturer, we want that technology to disappear and bring the experience forward. And the better that we can do that, and AI can really help to have those spaces adapt and learn and react to the users, that technology disappears and that experience is really what shines forward.
Yeah, wonderful. I'd like to bring in Merrin now into the conversation. So Microsoft's pioneering AI across industries. How do you see AI elevating that human connection and collaboration in AV environments?
Well, I think Dan said it pretty well. I think that we're putting the consumer and the customer first. So we've come out with technologies like Copilot and all these agents that we've invited into the space. And it's all about eliminating the friction. A lot of technology that we as technology providers in the ecosystem, oftentimes we put so much innovation in, but the end customer doesn't necessarily know how to access it. So I think AI tools are just giving us a more natural way of bringing that technology forward without us as a user having to really understand how to access it. So good examples of how to do that are, when we do, one of the greatest values that we've implemented in the last year is intelligent meeting recaps. So we're having conversation, the four of us, who's taking notes? Do I actually have to look down and scribe? My notes are terrible. I have terrible writing. Do I have to spend the next hour writing that back and recapping it in an email to anybody? So that's one of the greatest values is it's automatically doing that behind the scenes, assigning out action items, giving us next steps. The next layer of it is really, we've got things like Meeting Agent coming along that's doing more of that release of the friction. So I walk in, it knows it's me based on my face, and it is catering to my needs. It's letting me know there's things in the rooms that might need to be adjusted. You might need another chair. You might need to move this out of the way of the camera before you get started. So there's different ways that we think technology can assist and sort of improve the experiences, which is generally what it's all about. I'd say the last pillar is around everybody wanting the technology and the space to work for them more. And so that's all about knowing the analytics and the usage and making better decisions long term. So I think that's one of the most amazing pieces about AI is it's able to better analyze multiple layers of data and analytics. Good example, I would say, with Crestron is, I booked a room, but hey, I got busy and I have to cancel that meeting, or we don't use that space. The technology in the room knows that nobody walked in after 5-10 minutes and can automatically cancel the meeting and open up that space for somebody else. So that's just a good example of us being able to work together, use our technologies to better serve the audience and get more use out of a space. So that's sort of 3 pillars from Microsoft.
Okay, and then lessons from the enterprise in terms of AI adoption, what can be applied to accelerate innovation in AV, particularly between hybrid and immersive experiences?
I think there's multiple ways. Us as Microsoft, I think our users have found the most value in a meeting. And I sort of touched on one already of the meeting recap, but I think there's so much. I love the AV space. That's sort of my backbone. Very much about driving connection. So a lot of the work that we've done over the past years since the pandemic is improving that human connection. So having the ability to have everybody in their own square, even if we're all in the meeting room, but we're connecting the far end, long gone are the days of that bowling alley experience where I can't see your face at the end of the table. Bringing that connection forward, being able to see, hear, and actually interpret the emotion of actually what's happening in the room and the tone and really know those things. I think we're driving human connection through audio and video. We're really, as an industry, the eyes and the ears. And so there's so much that we can pull and experiences that we can bring forward to our customer base or our partner community as far as solutions. So it's implementing those eyes and ears wherever we see an opportunity to improve an experience and having the intelligence on the edge.
That's fabulous. And then for Sarah, Avixa, Global Industry Steward, how is Avixa really helping to shape the narrative around AV? AI, not just as a technology, but as a cultural and a professional shift?
Well, I think so many ways, because one of the key things that we can do as an industry association is exactly what we're providing here. So the platform to be a hub for the industry and a catalyst for growth, and provide the platform for expertise to be presented in such a way through content programs at all of our shows is key. Then if we think about the tools that we have, our own digital assets that everybody has access through thought leadership and the knowledge portals of Avixa Exchange, through our Exchange Live program as well, through Avixa TV, that our role is very much to enhance what we're doing and offering 3 days at a trade show around the world, through here, ISE, Infocom, 3 shows in Asia, but to have that access and that information and that knowledge 365. And I think the other thing very much that we can do and should be doing, beautifully exampled by both Dan and Merrin, is supporting with that education and training. So the IT convergence, that's happened. AVIT, gosh, I've been in the industry 28 years, and I can think back probably to 15 years where this fear of IT was prevalent, but we're part of the IT world. We have been, and our customers have led that. If you think how many end users you're working with who possibly moved from AV being part of facilities management, or AV was then a standalone, it's now part of technology hubs, it's part of IT. And so for us, the ability to be able to provide education and training that bridges that. So through our ANP, Audiovisual Networking Professional Certificate, that is for IT professionals to understand and know about the AV industry, and for the AV industry to be able to speak and know the IT language, absolutely key. And I think other things as well in terms of how it helps us. AI is helping us transform enormously in our speed to market for our members with education, with the ability to be able to provide a broader curriculum. Our own sort of use of AI within development means that we can get far more curriculum out to members than we would previously have been able to do through human development. And I think sort of, the examples of Microsoft working with us, being the provider of the Microsoft Teams training, broadening your reach, and our reach of the AV industry, being able to get that training through one portal as well, is also another great partnership example of where we can be a facilitator globally, really to not only promote the benefits, but support that cultural change that's very much shifting within organizations embracing AI.
And then in terms of leadership qualities that are most critical for AV professionals in navigating this AI-driven transformation, what are those sort of key things?
Ooh, this one for me, I have to say personally, it's one I love, because if you've led sort of change management programs within organizations, this is absolutely prime change management, because it is about recognizing that AI is not a technology. Think of AI as a co-worker. Think of AI being completely embodied across all of your organization structure. And that does lead then to organization change and shift. It has to. The structure of your organization has to change. It's not an add-on. It's a driver across all of the areas of your operation, your complete business operation. So I think one of the things that I'm particularly seeing is the importance of people-centric leadership. We talked about it from customer-centric people. That's people. What AI is doing is actually the fear that we had about it taking jobs away is not doing that. It's actually providing the opportunities for greater learning, greater enhancement of career value, greater progression. So I think what I've seen in if you think the very, very short time we've been talking about, AI, it's that people-centric leadership, that ability to look at your organization in an entirely different structure, and the added value that you will bring to your people, your staff, your customers, your processes, and ultimately your bottom line enhancement.
Sounds very extensive, but looking forward to seeing how we can really harness that. If we move into some technology and integration topics, Dan, how's AI improving system integration and interoperability across AV platforms and devices? And then, Marin, I'd be interested in your thoughts as well on that.
Well, it's helping in a lot of ways. I mean, off the bat, it can assist with allowing devices to communicate in an easier way. So, for example, if my control processor needs to talk to some edge device, we can use AI to better build those drivers, to better understand how those devices need to communicate together. It's something humans can do, but it takes time and effort, and each one has to be done individually, where if you create an AI framework, it can really figure it out almost dynamically. And also it goes to, as I was talking about before, the deployment, where you have potentially different technologies, different AV devices all over a space, and using AI to more intelligently learn about the space, configure the space, learn what devices are in that space, and even potentially, based on the devices you install, knowing what type of functionality you would want in that space and dynamically creating that experience.
And then, Maren, just in terms of that global platform view.
Yeah, I think you touched on it well. Just the understanding of what devices you have and where and when and who's interacting with them, and essentially having the fabric underneath it to allow all of those things to work together. Some examples that we've sort of worked through, if you think about the video layout in a meeting, and that dynamically changing depending on the number of people that have joined that meeting and optimizing for a better view of who's in that room. And also just making suggestions. Like we've got a new product called Microsoft Places, which is essentially empowering the user to better understand where I need to be and when. I'm 100% remote, but when I do go to the Microsoft office, I can establish what building I plan to be in that day. And I think a lot of us in this whole return to work environment maybe struggle with, I don't know where to be and when, and when I'm in there, where should I go? Which desk should I go to? So suggesting what floor I might want to be on, and hey, Higgsy and Peggy, my two teammates, are going to be there that day. Would you'd like me to book a space for you to go meet with them while you're there? Giving me better ideas on how to leverage those space and better optimize my time is something that I think is, again, going back to that human-centered idea, leveraging the power of all the people, places, and data that we have to enable better experiences.
Okay, and then I'll throw it back out to all of you. What role does AI play in predictive maintenance and real-time system optimization?
I can start first. I think we've got, and you've got portals. We've got portals, allowing those portals to talk to each other and merging the data together, and to sort of seamlessly anticipate problems before they happen, remediate problems overnight so that you don't have to walk into a problem in the morning when you walk into your office and fix it. It'd be wonderful through an update and patch that all is done behind the scenes. I think that's sort of the power of the cloud in a lot of cases. And same thing through, when we've got platform-based devices, we've got Windows devices, we've got Android devices. When we do platform updates, like magically in an overnight update, you've got new features that have landed in your room and wonderful capabilities, letting you know about those capabilities through prompts and alerts. So I think there's a lot that can be gained through tools like that. But I think there's also a lot to think about when you want to make decisions for the future. So there's things that we're going to be doing as Microsoft that's we're defining as product-led growth, but hey, letting you know this device is end of life. You might want to upgrade this device to have a better experience, or hey, this room that you're using has a certified Microsoft Teams Rooms camera. You might want to upgrade that with a Crestron compute and tabletop control because it looks like that room's being used a whole lot more. Or hey, this Crestron room is being used more than any other room. You might want to put more in the building, things like that. So
I like that.
Yeah, proactively providing suggestions on how to remediate and enhance would be great.
Yeah, and I think just, again, when we go into a space, we expect it to work. We expect it to function the way we need it to function. Except for the people in this room and at this show, nobody wants to think about the AV that's all running behind the scenes to make all that happen. And using AI to overnight or throughout the day, analyze that space, make sure it's functioning the way it should function, is huge. Even the ability to self-heal in some cases, where it can dynamically realize something's not working and maybe switch over to a backup server or backup control processor. Things that can happen automatically without anybody even knowing they're happening. And now that experience is not interrupted while you're trying to deal with some technical issue. And at the same time, delivering those notifications to the technical staff so they can get in there, fix things when nobody's there, and it becomes completely transparent and seamless to the end users.
And I think about the value that gives the system integrator, because it's informing, it's building stickier relationships with clients and your end users at a time when people are feeling, is that taking away traditional field service roles? Is it taking away what I used to add as a system integrator? It's not. It's actually making your job easier to be able to have that ability to work with your integrators on those two, perfect examples. to look at broader deployments, to look at where they're getting greater ROI. All of these things used to be, I think back to even 7 years ago when I was still running a system integration business, those were challenges that you were constantly having to educate your customer about. You've got that data, you've got that ability now to help them make those decisions that they always needed that data for. They needed to know which of the rooms, I've got this waste of rooms, the room wasn't used, where can I need more of these rooms because I know that they're being used in different ways than I originally had intended. And that data is now at your fingertips to be able to provide them.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is now for the integration partners, they can be proactive in how they're dealing with this. They can go to the customer and say, we know that room's not running ideally, we want to fix it. Or we know you're not using this room properly, let's start to dive into why, as opposed to being reactive and when the customer's already frustrated and unhappy.
Yeah, so we're talking, I guess, some of the business and operational impacts. Are there some further areas that you think there could be some cost saving for integrators and end users? And then how can AV businesses identify and capitalize on the new revenue streams enabled by AV AI technologies?
Yeah, I know from a cost savings point of view, deployments are very expensive. And as I was talking about before, now deployments, the scale of them are growing exponentially. And just having the skilled workforce to be able to do that, it can be challenging. So, for example, our intelligent video experience, it's phenomenal, but it takes so long to set it up and you need very skilled staff to do it. We want to see more of these systems installed, and we don't want that to be the deterrent from people being able to install it. So we're adding AI deployment features so that the system will effectively configure itself, set itself up automatically, and now you can be in and out of that space much, much faster. So that's just one example. And throughout our ecosystem, looking for ways where we can use AI to more efficiently do the simple rote-type tasks so that the AV professionals can really focus on where they can add value that they can charge for effectively. You can't charge for those somewhat meaningless things from an end customer point of view, but they do take a lot of time. This way, you're able to really focus your effort on truly value-add items.
I was going to say, there's a couple examples that come to mind. We have a partner advisory council, a few of you in the room. We spend a lot of time, that's part of my role at Microsoft, is basically enabling partners to build practices to better support customers out in the ecosystem. And I feel like the opportunity from a partner point of view is never greater. When you say the word AI, I think there's a lot of times just confusion on the part of the customer. I'm like, I don't know where to begin. And so there's a lot of opportunity consultative work at the front end of like, hey, here, let's understand your workflow. Where there are areas for opportunity for us to lean in together to improve that. There obviously is deployment and installation of technology in certain places. But for me, the back end and the adoption and management and life cycle refresh is really where I would personally love my partners to step in and support, because there is so much opportunity when you focus in on the end user experience to better unlock value there. Some examples of things that I've seen our partners do are sort of the adoption and change management. Sarah had pointed out of, how to enable more of these AI, like high level impactful spaces. Like, hey, I want to have a room like this in my headquarters. Like, what can I do to improve this to be a town hall environment where I can get multiple speakers and pull in New York and do more, more of those ad hoc experiential type things. So I think we have the opportunity to not be so focused on, I would hate to say plugging in cables or putting things on walls. We're trying to eliminate some of the friction and make some of that stuff more simplified so that we can think more about the experience afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting. I mean, again, that return to work, you've got to give something, that they can't get from working from home. As we move on then to talent and workforce development, how can AI contribute to more sustainable solutions, energy efficiency, smarter resource management? I know we've touched on it, but there are some specific examples.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in our systems, as the systems become more intelligent, they can start to understand how that space is being used. It can decide when to turn on air conditioning or when to turn on heat, so that an unoccupied space isn't wasting those types of resources. And obviously, with lighting and other things, we have systems where we can, based on the angle of the sun, we can start to make decisions about how much natural light is being brought into a building, and start to dim some of those lights in the facility. Or if you're getting direct sunlight that's starting to heat up a facility, bring down the shades to block out some of that heat. So doing things like that, having, again, an intelligent AV system where somebody doesn't have to consciously think, oh, I have to go put the shades down. The building is reacting to what your needs are and what your goals are. And we're constantly looking for more opportunity where we can bring that sustainability effort, that's cost savings, through AI in AV.
I would echo that. I think the key is automation and finding areas of opportunity to enable that automation. I think one other example I thought of, like where we layer in as a software, is, hey, maybe we centralize all the meetings on the third floor since we only have, that number of people that day. We see Mondays and Fridays maybe being lighter than Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So making better suggestions based on usage of the space, or maybe not sending in the cleaning crew because we know nobody was in that space that day. So there's lots of areas of opportunity based on the hardware signals that we're receiving to provide that.
I'll add on the workforce development piece. I think, beautiful examples within sustainability, and we can see, really clear improvements and applications there. I think for workforce development, we're all challenged with getting talent and attracting talent. What we're seeing and doing, particularly within Avixa, is that ability, as I said, to be able to accelerate our own curriculum development, but also the reach that we've got with colleges and universities around the world, to be able to support them with CTS prep and CTS curriculum within their universities as well. So AI is never going to lessen the importance for the expertise. We're always going to need people who are certified and who know and understand the science. But the ability to be able to overlay with short form education, micro credentials, and the what it'll do in the enhancement of inclusion, for me, is what makes it very exciting, because the ability now that we can reach far more people through translation, through language, than we were ever able to do before, is huge. And the applications as well, in terms of thinking that we can reach people from everywhere around the world. You can employ people now everywhere around the world. Practical example for us at Avixa, since the pandemic, I think about our head office, which was in Fairfax, which probably had about 90 or so people every day going into an office. But with the pandemic, one of the things, of course, that all of our organizations have seen is when you're recruiting, you can reach a far broader network of people. So we have people now that we employ for roles that might once have been head office focused. They're now based anywhere in the US or anywhere around the world. So that requirement and that reach is a huge advantage for organizations in terms of accessing talent.
I'm just going to layer on the sustainability and sort of getting into people's roles and responsibilities there. It's interesting at Microsoft that we're doing is, and I learned this last year in a sustainability talk that Microsoft hosted at ISC, where we actually, every single department and even down to the employee level, we can now provide a footprint of what type of energy usage that person is accountable for. And that's part of our P&L. And we have to we have this zero footprint responsibility and negative footprint responsibility. And so that's down to the employee level. And that can only be accomplished through having the data capability to show that. So being able to monitor, for a certain building, like your team's on that floor, on the third floor, and you're in there 3 days a week, like you're going to take accountability for the footprint of that space. So I think that's another interesting and probably new way to look at it, of driving accountability down to the person level, which is cool.
and we know firsthand working with Microsoft that you put that in your terms and conditions now to people like us to make sure that we're managing our Scope 3 or our missions so that your Scope 3 can hit your targets. So that is something that we're starting to see, quite significantly. In terms of ethical considerations, what should AV professionals keep in mind when deploying AI, especially in surveillance, data collection, or audience analytics?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, so yeah. I mean, now it's interesting. Our legal team is now more involved in R&D than they've ever been before. Certainly, there's the ethical side of it, but then now there's so many legal regulations across the globe in all different regions changing constantly, and it's challenging to keep up with that. Just simple things of notifying a user that AI is being used can be difficult in a system that isn't your phone that can just put a pop-up. So we're navigating a lot of that just from a legal compliance point of view, but certainly from an ethical point of view, it doesn't really change what we know as ethics of basic human interaction. Filming people, they should have a right to know that they're being filmed, and how that's being used. We're very careful in our tools. So in our intelligent video systems, for example, we're not capturing personal data about anyone. We're not storing that anywhere. We feed it to Microsoft to enhance some of the Copilot experiences, but that's up to them what they do with it. But yeah, it's certainly an obligation we have as we move forward to make sure that the experience we're delivering, people understand what's happening behind the scenes, how that's happening, and that we are treating their information with the respect it deserves.
I think it brings up a very important conversation. Like security is the first priority at Microsoft, bar none. We've done we call it SFI, Security First Initiative. I think the responsibility is at the person level, and it kind of went to sustainability too. Like I think every person needs to know that what you taught, the words that you say, and the things that you do, like within a corporate space, that is your data, and that is your company's data, and your company essentially is protecting that data, and you have a responsibility to your company to do the right things to support that. And so I'm getting more into a security versus ethics thing, but I think they're sort of intertwined. I had an interesting conversation last week on a panel where we were talking about is all these water cooler conversations and wanting to have the notes. So, okay, more and more things are going to be recorded. So is that really fair? Like, am I always going to assume that I'm recorded within my building? Like, no, everybody should always know when they're being recorded. Having the red signal when it's on mute on the middle of the table or the front of the room, letting people know in the chat this meeting has started and transcription is visible. Those are all very important things. But I think the user should also know that like how I save my documents in my environment and in my company's environment is important too. Like we had to do a lot of training extensively as a company to know where to save and how to accurately tag every document that I create so that that's not all being publicly shared out into the cloud that anybody in the world can then go access. So there's a lot of personal responsibility, and there's a much greater emphasis on protecting more of our own personal data and our company's data before we go out and do things that are probably not appropriate or invite risk or unethical, potentially, possibilities there. So there's a major threat, in my opinion, and it's one that I think is very real. And people need to take all of those actions before you even dive into the big, exciting world of AI. Really make sure you have that security conversation first and foremost.
And I think very important in terms of thinking about within organizations, everybody sitting in this room, whatever size and scale, you need data governance policies now, which before probably was not something necessarily that you needed to have as a consideration. But you do, that's absolutely vital. And anybody that's also operating, any form of VLOC and remote monitoring, particularly within their customer base, you've already had to comply with security anyway. But that greater risk on yourselves now is something that you need to be far more aware of. And I think in terms of sort of looking at design and application, for me, there's always that consideration around recognition of unconscious bias as well, so that we ensure we're not perpetuating unconscious bias in what we're in design, which is that sort of call for broader inclusion and representation as well of what's being worked on and inputs.
Well, it's been very interesting. I've got a couple of questions as we wrap up the panel. What message would you share with AV professionals and business leaders who are just beginning their AI journey?
I would say get excited. I mean, as much as I might have through my last comment said like, hey, be careful, make sure you understand the security first. I think it's a really exciting world, and one I think for me, and I touched on it earlier, the AV world is the eyes and ears. And I think through natural language processing, we have the greatest opportunity to really step in heavily with AI and provide sort of the window into the power of AI. So I think it's an opportunity and one that should excite you and really give you a good opportunity really here to be a leader. I think we were discussing prior to the show, like the usage of AI, the amount of people that have downloaded ChatGPT to their phone, obviously that's significant. The amount of people that are using it in a chat on a daily basis. Now think about how you can apply that to different processes on a daily basis. Start thinking about how could I do this a little bit differently. Any sort of task that you find drudgery in, how can I use AI to improve that? So it's a muscle that takes time, and one that I would say, like, I sort of had this magical moment like 6 months in to using Copilot of like, wow, this has actually changed my life, like in a very interesting way. And so I think then now once you hit that level, like be a advocate amongst your community. There's a lot of people that I think are scared and not sure how to take the first step. And it doesn't have to be a big step. It can just be like an ability to share excitement for learning and let people know the prompt that you used that day that improved, your work day. There's lots of little things that you can do to sort of foster a creative learning environment. And that's, I think, the easiest way to get started.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I mean, the biggest thing is not to be afraid of it, to take the time, learn, get educated about it, and then see how it can help you. And it's not a panacea. It's not going to fix all the world's problems, but in the right situation, it can be a great tool, just like so many other tools. I mean, we don't think about doing a web search today. We just automatically, we want to know something, we do a web search. Well, there was a time when people were scared to use this internet thing. So it's a new technology, and it's just going to become a ubiquitous tool that's just everywhere we are and just part of our daily lives. But we just have to get comfortable with it, get educated about it, and if you have concerns, talk to people. There's companies like Microsoft doing a great job of educating the world on what it is, what it isn't, how to use it responsibly. There's good resources now that can help. So take the time, learn.
I would echo that. I think it is, as business leaders, take the time to first of all think about what's your North Star. What do you want to do with this? What do you want AI to enable you to change across your organization, to better serve your customers, to find more business, whatever it might be? Clearly communicate with your staff in terms of what this is going to do for them. There's so much fear still around, it's going to take my job. I can cite sort of 2-3 practical applications within Avixa where we've brought in, as I said, within education, we now have a lot of work supporting curriculum development. That hasn't taken any person's job. If anything, we're going to be investing even further there because we can get greater pace to market of curriculum we can develop. We've got AI chatbots in customer service, so member service. So anybody that's reached out to us for questions and queries about any of your membership, we have those agents now working and supporting you. I haven't taken any of my staff away from member service around the world. We've got examples exactly the same thing within our certification. I haven't taken any staff away. What I've done is enable each of them to be able to work on other added value areas of service to the industry, which is also improving and enhancing, their job satisfaction and what they're doing. So I think as leaders, be clear about what it is you want to do. Think about it as an organization tool, not just a technology. Bring your technology and your business partners together within the company to look at what you're going to do and deploy, and build trust. Really build trust. Be clear with your employees. You will have ambassadors already within your organization. Use them. Use those ambassadors. Find out how it's being used. Get buddy groups going together, simple things like this to build confidence, and to show clear applications. Talk to your customers, because they will be telling you very clearly what they expect you to be doing and what their roadmap is as well. And talk to your partners. I mean, two beautiful examples here of partners that you're going to be working with that are front and center in deploying this. And I think this is about information gathering. It is about building confidence. And it is about being excited, as you said, Merrin, because this is going to transform in ways that we don't know now. You'll be doing it already in product development. It'll be in R&D. It'll be in secret work that you're doing, that things that you're bringing out in 2, 3, 4, 5 years are going to revolutionize what we know in the industry. And it's the advantage of that, not the fear of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonderful. I think we've got some time for some questions from our audience. Has anyone got a question for our esteemed panelists? Hi there. This is for Merrin. When the pandemic hit, Teams exploded into our world, which I guess was a positive and has set us up for the future. You mentioned Microsoft Places, and I was just wondering, when, the same way as Teams exploded into our world, when can we expect Microsoft Places to explode into our world? It's been around for a while now, and I'm intrigued to know when it's going to become mainstream. Let's put it that way.
Good question. So it is actually a product that's generally available today as part of Microsoft Teams Premium. We honestly, in just the last week, and even today, if you get on LinkedIn and you search Microsoft Places, you'll see that there were some wonderful new announcements with our Places admin portal is now generally available. So that product is just now sort of coming to life. It's been a long time. I've been at Microsoft 5 years, and I feel like we've been working on it for the last 2.5 to 3. And sometimes we move fast as Microsoft. This is one that's taken some time. And we were talking prior to the show, part of that time has been, if you think about Microsoft data and the fabric layer, a lot of the work that we've had to do behind the scenes is through the Outlook team. And you think about all of the resource accounts that you have associated with Places, it's creating a new layer, essentially, of attributes to those places. So the number of seats in a room, putting it in a floor plan, giving the data fabric access to that floor plan, knowing how each of the floors relate to each other. So there's a lot of behind the scenes data infrastructure that had to be built. That work is officially done. There was a big sprint that was just released in the last 2 weeks. So that product will become much greater reality, I would say, in the next 6 months. My role as a partner team, I just took on responsibility for Places within the last month. The Places team hasn't had a go-to-market team to support partner capability there until now. And that was by design. The product is ready, and we're really, for the next 6 months, going to be focused on helping partners get ready for really, in my mind, it's a January reality. So now is the time to learn, and I would say January would be a good time to think about deployment. And so I'd be happy to talk to you after the show. And Dan and I are excited. I think we're working very tightly with our OEMs as well, so that our data can speak to each other, essentially. So there's a lot of new developments coming. Now that work's done, we have the opportunity to work much more closely together.
Yeah, it's definitely a great question, because I asked Merrin the exact same thing before the panel started. We're very excited for it, of what we can deliver as hardware solutions to support that, and create an even better experience in those rooms.
Next question.
Hello, this is for Sarah. So I was wondering, will there be any AI related training in terms of, how it relates to AV for from Abixa?
Yeah, great question. And it is something that we're looking at and on our roadmap as how we provide that ability to give more training and support, but also how do we amplify what others are already doing so that we can do both. I think there's so much out there that's happening that other organizations are doing. How can we make sure that we're giving that exposure to people? And then what do we need to do to develop particularly that adds to that?
I'll kind of add on. We are about to announce, we've worked with Sarah's team to have an AI-powered workplace training. It's inclusive of 7 modules, at least from Microsoft's point of view, on where you'll see AI show up in meeting rooms and places and beyond. It goes into Copilot, it goes into phone. So I would recommend that. It's actually available today, but we haven't had the chance to promote it just yet. So if you want to go ahead and look, it is there and we'd welcome you. You'll see myself and Hixie on video there too. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously as we develop new products, new solutions that incorporate AI, that would certainly be part of our specific training for those solutions to understand the AI aspects of those solutions, how to implement it, how to speak about it, how to do it ethically, so that you're prepared for whatever you face.
Thank you. Okay, I think we've got time for maybe one more question.
This might be for Dan. Where do you see AV programming going in the next 5 to 10 years? Obviously, there's a lot of fear in the general IT programming world. I know Microsoft laid off many developers over the past sort of 6 to 12 months. So it's happening globally. And I guess from a Crestron standpoint, what do you recommend in terms of upskilling and that sort of stuff in that space?
Yeah, I don't think in our world, again, because one of our biggest focus is on really high-end, unique spaces that need custom solutions. In the NFL, the New York Giants draft room, for example, that was an example where they had a vision for what they wanted this room to do, and working with one of our integration partners and with their team, we were able to develop this incredibly unique, creative solution to enable their vision. AI can't do that. Now, AI will help with writing some drivers that you need to interface with different equipment. AI might help with some of the foundational basis for some of the code that you need. But the ultimate architecture of that solution, the creative thinking, that has to come from humans. So, and the truth of it is, one of the biggest challenges we've had in the AV industry for years and years was end customers don't see the value in the invoice line item for programming. And that's always a difficult conversation in almost every project. So now we get to take away all that part that doesn't add value, and you're only charging for what's actually adding value. And so I think it will actually long-term be a benefit to the programming community. We have our independent programmer community that obviously they have similar concerns. And every time I speak with them, I always say, we will always find places for you to add value because we need that human intelligence and creativity to deliver exceptional solutions.
I might add to that too. I think this is not just a programming. Obviously, it's an immediate area, and I heard you speak to Microsoft and us. Sort of, yeah, no, I mean, I'm living it. Like, really, like every July, like Microsoft goes through a major overhaul of change, and we get rid of a bunch of people, and then we add a bunch of people. Like, we're shifting. This world of technology is rapid change. It's very, very difficult from a person point of view to deal with that level of rapid change. But what's interesting is I think every career field is sort of feeling this pressure. I was at a real estate event last week where in design, real estate design and commercial design, and they're going through the same thing where they're like, hey, like there's all these tools out there with AI that are going to design and replace my job because now it's doing all of the work that I used to do, which is not doing it in a quality way. Like they still need a designer to come in and do all of the steps. It's doing great things to get you like the first 30% of the way there, but you still need a designer to do the rest. I think it's similar on coding. Like you're going to have AI tools that can get you maybe to 30% improvement on your day to day, but you're still going to need the skill set that you have. So it's just learning, just like in every career field, how AI can amplify the work that you do and how you use it as a tool within your tool belt to make you better at your job. And so there's where we're sitting within the team's engineering team now, and there's a lot of these cool meetings that we get to sit in on where, they're testing automated code, and there's still a lot of need for improvement, I would say, and maybe that'll get exponentially better over time. But I think the willingness for us all to sort of work through all of that in the short term and understand the positives and negatives of it and understand where we need to fill ourselves in is incredibly important. So I think every career is going to be challenged in some sort of way over the next 5 years.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I want you to put your hands together for our wonderful panel this morning. So thank you very much.